Hi everyone, and welcome back to my channel. I do not have coffee this time, but I do have owls. I like owls. I have a lot of owl things. Anyway, I am on a roll today. This is the third video I am making today. I had gotten a little distracted and busy the last couple weeks after Booktubeathon had ended. I was hoping to do some more videos, and I was taking a summer class. It was the end of the semester. Last week I actually had to take my final two exams for that test. My final two exams for that class. It was A&P 2, so we had a written exam and a lab practical exam. I apologize if you hear squeaking in the background. My dog is chewing on a monkey right next to me. Anyway, what was I saying? So I have been super busy, and then this weekend was crazy with work and my husband being home and having to do things for him. I'm not sure if I've mentioned it before, my husband is a truck driver, long haul, so he is all over the country. Doesn't get home very often, but when he does, it can be a challenge rearranging things, and he was having issues with his truck, and then we had to drive to another city to get a rental, and it was a whole big mess. So the weekend just got away from me as well. I was going to start over the weekend. So I figured I have time today. I am not doing that much. I will get some videos made, even if I don't get them all uploaded today. If you saw my last video, which I'm uploading it now, but by the time this gets up, that one will be up. It is a different sort of video. I have decided to not keep this channel just a booktube channel. I am starting nursing school in the fall, and I wanted to chronicle that journey for myself and to possibly help others who are going to nursing school, thinking about going to nursing school, doing their prerequisite classes, anything like that. So if you are not interested in that kind of thing, I am still going to be doing booktube videos, so don't worry about that, and just kind of ignore those videos. If you're curious, check them out. Otherwise, don't worry about it. Hopefully it won't be too confusing for people, or people won't like that, but I've seen other channels that have multiple different types of videos, so we'll see what happens with it. So I am here actually with another book haul. My last book haul that I also taped today was actually books that I had gotten a couple weeks ago. I just didn't have a chance to do the video. But I was at the library yesterday returning stuff, and I had to make some photocopies of something, and of course I started looking around, and I didn't need to pick up any books, but I got some more books, so I thought about adding this on to the end of the other haul, but that video ran much longer than I expected. If you have not noticed, I like to talk a lot. I like to ramble, get off topic. Like my husband says, talking to me is sometimes like talking to 3 different people, because I go off on tangents and just randomly change subjects and then go back to my original subject, and I think he's mostly joking, but I tend to do that. I tend to kind of ramble on and apparently have really long introductions. So let's just get to this haul. Not as many books, but I picked up some hopefully good ones. One of them is by an author I've never read before, and she has a series out that actually made me think of 2 of the books from my other book haul. They were I can't remember what the author's name, but they were kind of fantasy mystery books about a witch, and this is a similar premise. And when I actually picked one up, I thought, is this the same author? Is this the same series? But it's actually not. It's a different author, different series, still similar premise, with a witch who, it sounds like in the first book, does not realize she is a witch. and solves mysteries, kind of, I think at least at first by accident. They had the first 2 books in the series, so I decided to just pick them both up. That way, if I like the first book, I can go directly into reading the second book without having to run to the library and come home with 10 more books. So the first one is Caught Dead-Handed. It's by Carol J. Perry. I was actually looking at the mystery section. I have not read a mystery in quite a while, and I've been really in the mood to read a mystery. I was looking at contemporary mysteries when the title kind of caught my eye, and I was like, oh, I think that's a supernatural fantasy kind of one. It is about a woman who has, they haven't gone into detail yet. I started reading this today. I'm about 3 or 4 chapters in. And she moves back to her hometown after her husband dies. They have not really explained that yet, so I don't know if they will. And she wants to interview for a local news station as a reporter. Doesn't get the job, but ends up getting another job. It seems that they had a late night show that was on every night where they show like old movies, and they have this woman who is a psychic, or pretending to be a psychic at least, during the commercial, who like takes phone calls and answers questions, stuff like that. Well, it seems that that woman was murdered, and our main character is actually the one who finds her. This is all on the back of the book, but it's actually in the first couple chapters as well that I've read. And since she was not given the original job she was applying for, they actually offered her this job. And that's where I've left off so far, that she's agreed to take this job to just kind of get her foot in the door and see if it leads to something else. It's not something she's interested in. But it sounds like, from reading it, that she is possibly going to be in danger herself from the person who murdered the original host. So it's not bad so far. I mean, the writing is a little flowery, maybe a lot of metaphors and long descriptions about everything, but otherwise it's interesting so far. I'm liking the characters. It's getting right into the mystery and the meat of the book. It's not rambling on and giving you a big backstory, so I like that. So we'll see where it goes with that. And then the second book, Tales You Lose. So if I like that, I'll read the second one as well. And next I picked up Jim Butcher's Deadbeat. If you remember, if you saw my video, my Booktubeathon videos, I was reading, what was the name of? Blood Rights. I was reading that for Booktubeathon. Didn't finish it, but I did end up finishing that book. The second half, maybe the last third of the book, like, really picked up the pace. It was probably my favorite book in the series so far. I read that last third in one sitting. It was really good. They actually gave some interesting details and background into into Harry Dresden's family life. I mean, if you've read any of these books, you know that he was orphaned when he was younger, didn't know his mom, and it actually delved into what happened to his mom and secrets of his family and things like that, and really, really loved that book. It was a really good ending. And when I was at the library, I just kind of looking around, I happened to see this book, and I was like, oh, that's the next one. You know, that never happens to me. I will be in the middle of a series and at the library, and I'll start looking around like, oh, I wonder if they just happen to have the next one here. If I really want to read it, I'll put it on hold, but every once in a while I just try to look and see if I can find it, and I never can. So when I saw this, I was like, I wasn't even looking for it, but I'm gonna grab it, because that book ended really leaving me wanting to read more. Which, reading his reviews after, because I have a Goodreads account and I gave it my rating, and I was looking through some of the reviews, and there were quite a few people that were not happy with the book. They kind of feel that was one of his weaker books, but I felt that it was maybe a little weak in the beginning, or a little confusing. There were several subplots throughout the book, but the end definitely made up for it. It was a great ending, and it makes me want to read more, to hopefully learn more about his family. Okay, and the next book was also not something I was looking for. I was in the kids section with my son, and I found this. It is the Unofficial Magnus Chase and Gods of Asgard companion. Now, it's kind of a book that goes with the series, the Magnus Chase series, which I have heard of, but I have not read. I want to, actually. That's not why I picked up this book, though. I've always had a fascination with mythology, most specifically Norse mythology as my favorite. I have been reading books about Norse mythology and Vikings since I was probably a teenager. And I actually write as well as read books. I've finished a couple stories. I'm actually in the middle of writing a story now, and it's a fantasy novel, and I was thinking about adding elements of Norse mythology in that story, because I've been kind of hitting a roadblock of where I want to go next, you know, getting into the mythology of my story. And so when I saw this, and it has a lot of, especially in the end, if you can see this, they actually go through the gods and monsters and other creatures, and that was the main reason I picked it up, not because of the Magnus Chase element, but I wanted to learn more about that. And I thought that it's a kid's book, but it'll be a lot easier to skim through and get some ideas for that. And then lastly, well, not quite lastly, but I picked up a couple of graphic novels. I have been reading more graphic novels lately. When I was a kid, I did read comic books, and as I got older, probably teens, I kind of stopped. Definitely by my 20s, I wasn't reading any graphic novels, any comic books, because I started thinking, oh, I'm getting too old for that. Like, I shouldn't be reading books with pictures in them and stuff like that if I'm not reading to my kids. But in my 30s, I started really noticing graphic novels more. They've become a lot more popular, a lot more diverse. When I was a kid, it was Batman, Superman, Wonder Woman, you know, a lot of superhero kind of stuff. And then Archie comics, things like that, which I didn't read. And I actually got into graphic novels several years ago because of them coming out with Buffy the Vampire Slayer, you know, continuing on with the series in graphic novel form. And like I said in my last book video, I am obsessed. I will admit it, I am obsessed with Buffy the Vampire Slayer. I was like, if this is the only way I can get it, I'm gonna read these. I was like, I don't care if I think I'm too old. I don't care if other people think I'm too old. You know, I'm gonna read what I want. And I started reading them, and it's a different format. I kind of took a little getting used to that again, but I've been really enjoying them, and so I started picking up other ones, and I picked up other Whedonverse ones, and then I started getting back into stuff that I read when I was a kid. I was really into DC Comics. Batman especially was always my favorite. I love Batman, the Joker, Harley Quinn, Suicide Squad, even before the movie came out, which I haven't seen yet, so if you've seen it, don't tell me about it. So anyway, that was kind of a long roundabout way of saying how I'm reading graphic novels again. So I found this one, and it's a new Joker, the new 52. If you read these all, the only graphic novel I own that is DC is Arkham Asylum, which if you are at all interested in Batman, Joker, anything like that, or even just graphic novels, it is probably my favorite graphic novel of any that I've ever read. It really gets into your mind and twists things, and it's beautifully written. The artwork is incredible. It's one that I've read a few times. Now this is huge. I don't know how many pages this is, but look at some of this. It looks incredible. I love the Joker. I recently read a Joker graphic novel on my phone. I have an app which I cannot remember what it's called, but I'll put it in the description bar. I'll look it up. But I have an app on my phone where you can get Hoopla. It's Hoopla, where you can kind of borrow books. They have books, audiobooks, and comic graphic novels. And I've been reading some graphic novels on there. And I recently read a Joker one, and it's kind of like one backstory. He has several different possible backstories, but it's one of his backstories, and it was really good, and it kind of put me in the mood to read more. And I saw this, and I'm like, yes, I love the Joker, I love Batman. Even though it's big, it'll be pretty easy to read. And then lastly, I got this for my daughter. It's a Princess Leia graphic novel. I love Star Wars. She's really gotten into Star Wars. She loves Princess Leia as a character, and this is one I think that's kind of takes place after Alderaan is blown up, and it's definitely her story, even though I think there are other characters from the Star Wars universe in it, but kind of how, you know, she doesn't just kind of, she's not a princess that sits down and lets people make decisions for her. She needs saving. She saves herself. And it's kind of, well, what does she do? How does she react? How does she get involved in helping after all that happened? So I thought that she would be interested in that. She likes graphic novels, and I might actually read it myself. It's pretty short, and I love Star Wars, so that is my book haul, my library book haul, and it actually looks like it's about the same length as my other book haul, which had quite a few more books. I don't know how I do that. I really gotta work on talking less and saying more, if that makes any sense. Okay, so I'm gonna wrap this up, and I will see you in another video soon.